Cool. So let's talk about expanding your comfort zone. Expanding your comfort zone is necessary for you to actually entertain the idea of free will. You can't make a decision really outside of your comfort zone. You're just not going to do it. And you have all these reference experiences, okay? These reference experiences when you do go out of your comfort zone. And they tell you something about the way that you view yourself and your belief. This really comes down to do with self-belief. Who do you think you are? Who are you? What are you trying to do? What is your why? Okay, these are all very important. If you know what those are, then you have a strong anchor. You understand a little bit better who you are. And a great way to do that would be to do a little bit of a self-assessment. So we're going to talk about that. Take a little bit of an inventory. What is it that you want? What is it that you believe? Who are you, right? Understanding who you are, I think it's truly necessary to be able to answer that question in order to define your goal. If you don't know who you are, it doesn't really matter where you're going. You're gonna get lost, So the way to do that is we have all these reference experiences. Tony Robbins talks about how to create a belief. It's like a table. You have, the table itself, but it doesn't hold itself up until you get enough legs under it. So those legs are the reference experiences. But the truth about that is those reference experiences don't guarantee you anything. It's all about your attitude about those reference experiences. So this is one reference experience right here. Reference experience happens. Let's say it's going up and talking to somebody, okay? Let's say you're trying to work on your social skills. So you go up and talk to somebody and you have a moderately okay conversation with them. Do you consider that a positive or a negative? However you feel about that is what the truth of it is. It's going to reflect back to how you view yourself and that self-belief and exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to expand your comfort zone. Because we need to go out of our comfort zone to challenge it in order to expand it so that we can make better decisions, more decisions, so we have access to other ideas and life tracks. So if you decide that you screwed up somehow, it was somehow negative, well, guess what? That's true for you, right? So you're not going to expand your comfort zone that way. You're actually going to shrink it. And that's not what we want. Now, with a comfort zone, let's think of ourselves as a magnetic ball on a string, okay? And basically, we're swinging between these two poles, which is what we're willing to accept and what we're not willing to accept, okay? So willing to accept over here, unwilling to accept over here. Basically, we have a ceiling and a floor, right? And the ceiling is what we will get to and we'll self-sabotage. The floor is what we absolutely are like, all right, I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get my poop in a group, okay? That's here. And here is where we get to the point, and this could be in any area of life. It could be financial, it could be health-wise, it could be relationship-wise. You get into a great relationship and then it gets so good, you get to this one point that you can't accept it anymore for yourself. You don't believe you deserve it. And so you begin to self-sabotage that relationship. Or you get a big amount of money and all of a sudden you start spending like crazy because you can't accept that you did that well, right, for yourself. Or, you get to a certain point health-wise, like where you're in good shape, and then all of a sudden, we're always dealing with equilibrium here. So the idea is to elevate neutral. It's always going to balance. If you ever feel like you're going 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, it's because that's kind of what you're doing, and that's okay. Just understanding that these reference experiences that you're having can be either positive or negative. Anytime you do something that's outside of your comfort zone, that should be a positive. You should reward yourself with positive, like feelings and appreciation for yourself every time you do something like that. Tell yourself that you did it. You had the courage, because courage is not lacking fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And that's how we can get outside of our comfort zone. A lot of this comes from our programming, how we take stock, how we believe. There's all these imprints like Robert Anton Wilson talks about. There's also traumas that we have all through our life that imprint upon us as well. And then our self-belief, and they're all sort of wrangled together. And I've got some trauma exercises in one of the other videos. I highly recommend those. Those are for like childhood trauma, right? Not necessarily like PTSD and stuff like that. I'd recommend a specialist. But, all of these things wrapped up together, really, that's really what we're projecting into the world. We're saying what we will allow into our reality based on our comfort zone and what we're willing to accept and what we're unwilling to accept. So obviously, we want to raise the floor and the ceiling. So we want to elevate neutral. And the way that we can do that is to begin to ask ourselves these questions, start to focus on it and become conscious of it. And it might feel like, in order to elevate neutral, you go up a bit and then down a bit, and then up a bit and then down a bit, then up a bit and then down a bit. But look at this place versus this place. And it goes by failing. Okay, I'm going to say failing and I'm going to use quotes. But allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself, have courage. Basically we should be looking ahead, trying to do these things to elevate neutral and continuing to create these reference experiences to expand our comfort zone and our beliefs about ourselves. And then every single time we try it, even if it doesn't go as well as we wanted it to, we always reward ourselves with a positive, reinforcement. That's going to elevate our neutral over time. It's not something that's going to happen immediately. It's going to take time and time and time and time. And if you were to look back, you would see a wake of failure. But every single failure is really what's driving you to success, especially if you continue to look forward. It's pointless to look back. It's like I create this art, I throw it up there. It's beyond me now. It doesn't matter. It's over. We've passed that. And it doesn't mean you can't look back, obviously, and critique and learn lessons from that. But the point being is that it's really not about what's behind us. It's about moving forward. Especially if you want to become a great creator. It doesn't matter about what you've created in the past. That's not going to make something for you in the future. You establish a process. You continue to hone and master what you are able to do and continue to elevate your neutral and work on your self-belief. Write it down. What are you willing to accept from yourself? What are you unwilling to accept from yourself? And, start to challenge those things a little bit at a time. Again, it's a lot of times 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a lot of failure, but a lot of action. Taking lots of action and being easy with yourself. Also, taking the advantage route every time you challenge your comfort zone. Every time, even if you don't think it went well, it doesn't matter. You got something out of it that you weren't expecting. All of this stuff works in a way that we can't fathom with our minds anyways. So it's really basically pointless to try. But if we continue to take action over and over and over again, we can expand our comfort zone and we can really take stock of our self-belief. And I want to work on getting a bit of a self-assessment, I guess, or whatever, inventory, kind of thing. And I'm working with a friend on that. I think that could be really helpful. But in the meantime, start asking those questions. In order to get to your goal, you need to know who you are. In order to create things, you need to be at the place of abundance. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You've got to get that to that point first in order to make a realistic goal. If you want fulfillment out of life, like you can get things and stuff and validation if that's what you wish. You can get that as well. But I find it a little bit more rewarding and just it feels better to try to pursue the higher self, like the highest and most authentic version of yourself. And we're going to fail trying to bridge to that a lot, but that's part of the process. And that's how we learn. And that's how we get to mastery of the self and self-awareness and self-actualization.